He's been called the musician of the Syrian revolution. Malek Jandali, an acclaimed pianist and composer who grew up in Syria and now lives in New York, recently debuted some of his newest work at Carnegie Hall.
Yes, he did. And Jandali's work, a blend of classical and Middle Eastern music, is dedicated to his homeland and to those who have resisted the government of Bashar al-Assad or been killed by it. As VOA's Carolyn Weaver tells me from New York, Jandali brings an artist's passion to his compositions for Syria. Carolyn, tell us, you did this very fascinating piece. Who is Malek Jandali?
He is kind of like a composer and a pianist in a movie, almost. He's a little dictatorial, he's so passionate, but he's very charming and humble at the same time. He was born in Germany, but grew up in Homs, Syria, and has since become a U.S. citizen. He came here for his education in his early 20s.
And you had the chance to meet him and spend some time with him as you did this story on him. What was that like?
Well, he's a very charming, a very sincere artist, I would say, who is completely absorbed in the cause of the Syrian revolution.
It is their music. I'm inspired by their courageous acts, by their memories, by their history.
He's trying to raise awareness about what's happening in Syria using his music. And he also said with one of his most recent works, the Syrian Symphony, he wants to leave behind something for people in 100 years that will kind of memorialize the trauma that they are going through now.
Let's talk about how Malek originally became interested in composing Middle Eastern music.
Well, he learned that about 40 miles from his home city, there was an ancient civilization in Syria called Ugarit that had devised the oldest known form of musical notation, which was discovered on clay tablets in this city.
So what I'm trying to do is to preserve and present my culture that is being destroyed today.
And one of his first songs incorporating Middle Eastern modes into Western structures was based on that song, which was a song to the moon goddess of the time.
Each one is a story. Story of beautiful counterpoint between the call of prayer from a minaret and the church bells in Damascus, or a child cry in Homs.
And how does he incorporate this traditional Arabic instrument, the oud, in his music?
Recently, he performed at Carnegie Hall with his chamber trio. He played the piano. He had a wonderful cellist, Laura Metcalf, and a wonderful oud player, Abdul Rahim Al-Siyadi. They performed works that combined the oud with the piano and the cello, which is something that really hasn't been done much before. Performed it outside the White House in Lafayette Park in July 2011. And you would think that a song called I Am My Homeland wouldn't offend anybody. But that was kind of a cry for the revolution and for freedom and democracy and independence from the dictatorship of Bashar al-Assad. A couple of days later, he says that Syrian security forces broke into his parents' home in Homs, Syria, and beat them up. And he had them taken to the United States or removed to the United States after that. It really felt like a privilege to be able to shoot his rehearsal with his chamber trio. The music was so beautiful, and to watch them all interacting with each other, the oud player with the cellist and both of them with Malek was wonderful.
You know, an interesting thing to note about Jandali, he told Carolyn that some may question why he's composed music for Syrians when they are in such dire need of physical help, you know. But he says he wants people 100 years from now to know that the Syrian plight was also immortalized in music. So he views it as an important contribution he's making.